Oi, oi, hello and welcome to another GG.CO.UK video. My name's Dave Young and this is kindly sponsored by Boyle Sports. In this episode, I'm going to be talking you through some things I think you need to know about the National Hunt season. There have, of course, been some changes mentioned this week by Cheltenham Racecourse to the festival itself. Not only just the races, but the actual experience. So I'll come on to that in due course and I'll give you my view on how I think those changes will shape how things happen this season, maybe just for the festival itself. But obviously, it's not all about Cheltenham. There is some fantastic racing throughout the season, which is why we'll be doing a few more of these episodes. I'll be sharing some of my cheat sheets to help us find winners of big races such as the Hennessy and the Greatwood, although the Greatwood this year, you've already got a 3-1 favourite in Dysart Enos. We'll be looking at some previews for some meetings as well. So Chepstow season openers next on the agenda. And I might be giving you some anti-post insight too, depending on where the gaps fill on these Sundays. So you'll be getting a video on GG every Sunday now. And you'll also be getting the weekend watch every Thursday, where we give you our best bets for ITV's racing on Saturday. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you have the notification bell on, you will be given first refusal to those videos, which could be helpful if it comes to prices changing and such. But without further ado, we'll crack on. I've got quite a good level of experience in horse racing. I'm 38 now. I've got 20 plus years worth of betting in horse racing. Greyhounds too. So I think I've picked up quite a few things. I've been profitable at the Cheltenham Festival for as long as I can remember, well over 15 years now. And I just think I've picked up a few things that stand me in good stead at the start of the season. But I do have to remind myself of a lot of these things as it comes to the start of it. And I just wanted to share these sort of thoughts with you guys at home. Now, there'll be plenty of people that have just as much, if not more experience and more valid opinions than I have. You might just not have the outlet for it, or you do here with GG.CO.UK. In the comment section below at YouTube, please do just make sure you mention anything you want to challenge of what I say, anything that you think that I've missed out that people do need to hear. And I know there might be some people that are newer into betting that are interested or have questions. Please don't feel afraid to ask questions. Please do so on air. It may be that in another episode or each week as we catch up, I'll cover off some of those. So if you've got questions, I'll either try and reply to them in the comments or we'll pick them up in another video. But look, it's a knowledge sharing sport. We're in a fantastic position with places like Twitter that if used in the right way, you can find out great bits of information about targets for horses. You can find out injury news. You can see when there's price moves. You can get notified for entries. There's so much great information out there, good nostalgia, good debate. And that's what makes this sport, right? Betting is a game of opinions. If we all had the same one, there would be no value to be had. And that's ultimately what we're trying to pick out through the season, right? It's a battle of opinions. And ultimately, with those different people sharing their views, you, the viewer at home, will be able to listen to multiple sources and basically make your own opinion. I listen to lots of different stuff. So this is probably one of the biggest points to talk about for the jump season is that I listen to lots of stuff and there's so many good outlets out there. Sometimes it will change my opinion, but I'd say more often than not, now that I'm confident in my own abilities, it will reaffirm things for me. So if someone was to dispute something that I've said, or not directly at me, but have a difference of opinion on a horse, sometimes what people say might actually make me feel more confident in a horse because I know I'm right and I don't really think their argument sort of stands up. Other times I look at it and think, wow, I hadn't actually thought of it like that. So we're in a real good like situation with jumps racing. And like I say, the way that it gets shared on social, that there are lots of opinions that are easily voiced for free, such as our channel here. And you will be able to make your own minds up off the back of that. But look, the buck does stop with you. It'll be your money you're parting with. So look, what I think I know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to get every single thing right. And of course, it's a balance over the course of a season too. So talk about the course of a season. And I've said that there's some changes at Cheltenham Festival. We're going to touch on some of those in this video. I'll give you my opinions on those. But while it's not all about Cheltenham, there's some fantastic races that go through the season. It's nice that we have something to build up to. If you're working towards a bigger goal in life, you're far more likely to achieve that if you have smaller steps that's in there. We'll have all seen the image of a ladder that has really small rungs on it, a typical ladder, and ones that has massive steps. Smaller steps will get you towards the target better. And that's what we have through the season. It's the way that I picture it for the National Hunt season. Some people will probably criticize that because they'll say, why can't I enjoy the racing as we go? I do. I enjoy every step of the journey. But it is just a fact that, look, we have 75 grade ones across both sides of the sea, 38 in Britain, 37 in Ireland. In Britain, we have 13 grade ones before Cheltenham. 9 of those come in December typically. In Ireland, they have 23 of their 37 grade ones taken before Cheltenham. Majority of those are run at Leopardstown at Christmas and their Dublin Racing Festival, but it's no surprise that the Irish dominate when it comes to March, because they've got lots of windows of opportunity to challenge each other and to excel, I guess, because the best breeds the best. If you had Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi not playing at the top tier, we never would know how good they are. So look, this isn't a cry for help for the sport to say, look, the British horses should be going over to Ireland to challenge, or we need to fix X, Y, and Z. I'm not here to talk about that. But I do think that we just need to remember there's an Irish domination at the moment. It's going to continue. So let's enjoy that. There's fantastic racing throughout the season. As I say, there's 75 grade ones alone to get excited about. There's big handicaps that come up. So look, while we will have one eye on Cheltenham throughout the season too, enjoy it as it goes. There'll be plenty of good bets to get in there. Now, typically, I find the season ramps up. I wouldn't say it as a penciled-in date that I'm saying this is when the jumps really kicks off. I think from Chepstow season open, I'm happy to say that's the start of it. But when you get to the first few weeks in November, I think it was 11. There was 14 winners basically from Cheltenham Festival that made their debuts from week commencing the 6th of November through to week commencing the 20th of November. 11 of those were Grade 1 winners at the Cheltenham Festival. A couple of ones that were just outside, that was Ballyburn and Tiapu, who made their debuts in sort of the first full week in December. So that's the window, really. We're looking at these horses should be making their seasonal reappearance. These are the ones that, not solely and exclusively, but these are the ones that are highly likely to be competitive when it comes to Cheltenham in March. It's nice to know that things start ramping up from there, but it's also nice to know that there are so many opportunities after that. Like I say, all of these grade ones that come in December, there's decent stuff in February over in Ireland too, and there's lots of racing when we come to the spring festivals that's outside of Cheltenham. But it's important to know that while those things happen at the start of the season, things can change. Horses get beat at the start of the season. Look at Galopin Des Champs, and then they come back for redemption later. So while we may be seeing future Cheltenham Festival winners out at the start of the season, doesn't mean they're always going to be going out and winning to start off. Now, we do have the Chepstow season opener I talked about. We had 6 winners, I believe it was. None of them were Grade 1 winners, but 6 winners that made their appearance before those dates I put in there. So week commencing the 6th of November. Of course, each year the dates will change a little bit, but I think 5 of those 6 debuted in October or sooner. We had Chianti Classico, who I mentioned on the weekend watch, before he even ran at Chepstow, would win an Ultima, who did. Again, just because I did that last year doesn't mean I'll do it every year, but look, that's the sort of insight you can potentially get on this channel. Unexpected Party 2 beat Nappers Hill, went and won a Grand Annual. There's lots of clues to be found throughout the season, so I do have half an eye on what this could mean for future targets, but I would use it similarly to, I think, how a trainer would. I'd be looking at the stepping stones I'm expecting a horse to take throughout the season, and we'll see what they can take in along the way. There's lots of good races for these good horses to take in, and there's lots of races for the not so good horses to run into. There's just fantastic racing throughout the season. There will unfortunately be some setbacks though. Thalim, that was going to run in the stairs last year, obviously didn't, and then has now been announced to have an injury that means that horse is out till March, probably won't be seen at Cheltenham. This won't be the last horse that we hear about this for the season. They are fragile animals. It is what it is, right? I hate to use that phrase so candidly, but it's part of horse racing. And I know when you get a high-profile horse such as a Thalim or Constitution Hill last season, it causes some anger amongst some people, but it's not a controllable variable. I know they will do everything they can in their power to make sure horses are sound, etc., but things happen in life, we know that, and ultimately the welfare of the horse is of the utmost importance. So yes, we want to see the best take on the best, but I trust that trainers are doing right by the horse. If they want to protect their horse till Cheltenham, that's their prerogative. And again, it's one of the reasons why I am a big advocate of the Cheltenham Festival. It's why I believe the sport needs it too. The big announcements that have been made this week, which we'll come on to now, have obviously echoed through horse racing. It's a big thing, and it's got people talking about it. It's because it is such a big event. People love horse racing, full stop. People love the national hunt jumps. Yes, I understand from affordability perspective it's difficult these days for lots of things in life, but you can enjoy horse racing on a budget. If you have to watch it at home, it's free on TV, on ITV, most of the races, isn't it? You can listen to insight like this for free. It doesn't have to be an expensive hobby, and obviously we can choose what we do with it. But look, let's use that as a little segue into the Cheltenham Festival changes. I'll talk about the race changes that they've made so far and my opinion on those and how it might shape things for the festival and the season itself, to be fair, because there are a couple of changes in there that I think most people are fairly agreed with. I think what they're doing to the races, I do understand. And I think what they're doing to the user experience as well is pretty decent too. So the way they've broken this down, I'll pull up some visuals on the screen so you haven't just got to listen to me waffle, is they've broken this down into a few categories. They've gone for better value. They're talking about an improved experience, and they're talking about the best against the best. So the best way to probably kick this off is the best against the best category, because this is talking about the racing and what they're doing. They're aiming to get the best horses to come in here. They're trying to make it as competitive as possible, and they also want to prioritise equine welfare. So we're all on board with those goals. The racing changes as they are. So I'll pull these all up. You can go, I'll put a link in the description to the Jockey Club release for this, so you can go and read in a bit more depth if you want to. But they're removing the Turners and they're replacing it with the limited novices chase. So that would be the same as the Close Brothers was there before. I think lots of people have talked about this. The Turners was a new invented race. It's a tricky one, my opinion on this. It's a tricky one because it will make the Arkle and the Browns more competitive, because you'll see horses running at different trips. But it doesn't mean that we've missed out on an Arkle winner or we've missed out on a Browns winner because they ran in the Turners. Of course, Galopin Des Champs looked like a horse that could win any trip that he wanted to. But then you'd have to potentially argue, would Galopin Des Champs have been winning back-to-back Gold Cups and now coming back fitness-wise for a third, had he have not run in the Turners that he did? Now, big reach to say that one race and going over an extra half a mile could have such an impact on a horse's career. But we've seen lots of horses that win a Gold Cup that don't even win a race after. So, look, the trainers, again, it's their decision what they do with these horses, isn't it? You would be thinking that with it being back to the novice handicap chase, that people would be plotting. We had a Plutard, didn't we, that absolutely romped home in there and goes and wins a Gold Cup. So we talk about very different journeys. But I just think talk about those two horses as well. It can be for a younger horse that running over 2.5 miles, like not pushing them over 3 miles is best for them. But it's one of those, right? I understand why they've done it. I can sort of see half the pros, half the cons towards it. So I'm fine with that one. It will be what it will be, but I don't know. I feel like they probably could have kept. You can't keep both because I think for numbers, but I don't know. There's no real like 2.5 mile massive target now, is there, for novice chasers? But I guess Aintree will probably benefit from that. But is what it is. People sort of called for it. It was a newly introduced race. I'm okay with it. Evolve the National Hunt Chase race conditions to become a novice handicap chase, a 0 to 145, and remove the amateur rider requirement for jockeys. Now, I don't want to waffle on this one for too long, but this is a sad one because this is a race that's been there since the start. 164 years this race has been going. They made changes to it a few years ago where they reduced it from the 4 miler to 3 mile 6. They talked about qualification runs and things like that for the horses, which were done from a welfare perspective, and I do understand and respect that. But they've made so many changes in the last decade to this that they've taken away what it was, with it being the amateur rider requirement too. It's been a launch pad for lots of big jockeys. They say the pool of amateur jockeys isn't what it was before. I don't think you're going to increase that by taking away a big target for those jockeys. So look, I'm lukewarm on this one. We've had Gold Cup horses and Grand National winners run in this race and potentially win this race and go on and do big things after. Are there two better or bigger races for our national hunt sport than the Gold Cup and the Grand National? And this used to be a massive launch pad towards it. So I'm lukewarm on the changes to that. I know a lot of people say the field size is small, they don't really like the race. People want to scrap the National Hunt Chase, but I do think we have to remember where we came from. And these types of races, you know, are now sort of being frowned upon. But it is what it is. I understand why they're doing it. I just think that the National Hunt Chase is getting a few too many kicks. They either want to take it out and they're too scared to, which they should just do if they're doing it. They just seem to be picking enough holes in it. They're trying to force it to become a disaster, I think, so that it gets removed from the schedule. But that's where we are with that. Again, let me know your thoughts on that one, because I have a view on it and it doesn't mean that it's right. The cross country is going to be a handicap. That kills me, because we were just getting to the point, I think, that race was starting to attract some big names. We were getting multiple like top tier horses. We were getting like your Tiger Rolls, Milena Indos. We were getting Galvin Statlers. We were getting Delta Works going there. We're getting Gold Cup horses going in there. And I feel like just as we were getting it to the point that it could become like an older horses race, typically like a grade 1 for those, we're now turning it back into a handicap, and it's becoming, as far as I'm concerned, like a bit of a novelty event. Yes, the Grand National is a handicap and it's a nice little springboard for that, but we talk about how much of, like, you know, the change we made to the Grand National to make it easier for the horses. That's good. It's a good thing, but you're then almost adding to it by creating another big handicap over this sort of discipline, over an extreme distance, where, I don't know, you're potentially going to get horses that are going to run in there to try and launch pad their way into the Grand National. Not so much like a Tiger Roll or a Delta Work did, you know, getting a bit of a freebie and being able to prep for the Grand National for it. But we're going to get more competitive racing, I suppose, would be the argument for it. But I don't know, even when it was a handicap, there was lots of horses that you potentially could sort of work out who'd been plotted for it. They were better for it. So I'm lukewarm on the cross country being changed to a handicap. But I'm also a punter as well, right? So the Grand National, the cross country, and even the National Hunt Chase had been sort of easier, better medium. So chuck them in a handicaps does make it a bit more competitive, does make it a little bit trickier to figure out. I don't know. I think there's multiple reasons why they're doing that, and I don't think it's just to make the race more competitive. We've had big fields in the cross country, haven't we? So yeah, I don't know. It's painful, isn't it? Just because good horses go in there and then they win by wide margins, they now say that it's not competitive, as opposed to thinking, do this for a few more years, we might get more competitive racing and better horses going there. Anywho, we'll leave that as there. They're going to increase the prior experience requirements to run in the non-novice handicaps, right? They're increasing it from 4 hurdle runs to 5 and from 3 trace runs to 4. Now, they changed this recently because you had the likes of like a State Man and your Galopin de Champs going in that were potentially, I mean, even St. Wilder, didn't it? That potentially were like supreme type horses that mess up to start with. And then Willie Mullins thinks, actually, if I keep these horses marked down for a couple more runs, sort of hide them in plain sight, I can go pick up a big pot at Cheltenham. So I like this one massively because the hurdle runs, right, increasing it to 5 hurdle runs, essentially, as far as I'm concerned, is just going to contain novices in the novices races. And I think that's the right thing to do. I think that while obviously you can do whatever you want, and it's been nice to bet some of these winners as well, I feel like if you've got a horse like a Sanois or a Galopin de Champs that could have won the Grade 1 novices, that they should have been going in those Grade 1 novices. And yes, it's great that Willie Mullins has his domination for punters, and fine, do that. But he knows that he's got 2 or 3 horses, maybe even more each year, that could win the Supreme or a Gallagher's, and he gets to split them up. I think by doing this is better. You should just say to yourself, right, do you know what? You've got an opportunity to go win. As I touched on, there's 75 Grade 1s out there. Now, obviously, not all of them are novice hurdles, but if you want to go run in an open company race, do it. Be exposed and go and win those races. I think it's nice. I think it will make those better mediums better. There's been a few horses over the years, I think, that running these handicaps that should have run in those races. And prior, we may not have thought that, but had they have done, they could have been some decent spectacles. I think it would increase the quality of the horses afterwards. So I love those changes, and for the chases as well, I think it's important too. So yeah, I think it needs to be done. 4 chases for the novices going in there. We know those angles going into things like an Ultima about novices going in there, but I think a lot of them would tick the boxes anyway. It's fine. Let them be exposed. I like it. The more they run, the more information we've got, right? They've removed the penalties from the Grade 2 Ryanair Dawn Run Mares Novice Hurdle. Good. Don't know why they didn't do it for the Mares Chase as well. You get horses like Limerick Lace last year that won it, give him £5 or get him £5, sorry, from the second and the third. And ultimately, I think that with that penalty system, what it does is the same as Dysart Enos last year. They just dodge running in the good races to pick up a penalty because, you know, they're playing the game. Don't know why they've left it with the Mares Chase. It's annoying, especially with this talks about the National Hunt race, the National Hunt Chase, where they've changed things, and they've obviously got the Mares program to support that. You've created 2 Grade 2s in the Mares Novice Hurdle and the Mares Chase, and you put the penalty system in there, which then negates through the season these horses running potentially on merit or to their best. So that's a step in the right direction for sure. Should have done the Mares Chase as well while I'm at it. Provide winners of the Pertemps qualifiers with the protection that if they're within the weights at declaration stage to run in the Pertemps final. I like this. More emphasis on if you win a final to get in there. Yeah, so I think that's just a fair thing. The Pertemps is a bit of a niche race anyway, isn't it? But I like that. It's mad to think that horses can qualify, be within the designated weight range and not get in, yet horses that have been ridden out the back to come fourth. Remember that race as well, it used to be 6 places up for grabs to qualify. They've changed it to 4. Now winners get priority. It's pretty much going down the route of, in a few years' time, you can imagine they have either more of these qualifiers or only the top couple get in. So potentially good. They will be more exposed when we get into the finals. Takes a bit of the fun out of trying to solve the puzzle and enjoy the conspiracies, isn't it? But a lot of the time we follow the market. So we are, right? Again, I don't want to dwell too much on some of the other bits. There's improved experience they talk about in there and better value. Now, I won't run through this as much as I did with the other parts, but they're doing improvements to the car parking, increasing the staff. They're making it so you can walk around a lot more with your drink as well. They're doing meal deals. They're trying to increase basically the enjoyment of when you're at the racecourse. So fair play to them for doing those types of things. Yes, 30p's got on the price of the Guinness, but just don't drink if you don't want to drink it. Better value is pretty good as well, I thought. So they've retained the price structure from 2024's festival for this year, the ticket, so that's good. I'll pop those up on the screen now so you can see the tiers of when the prices are going to change. They're also doing 20% off multi-day tickets, excluding the Gold Cup, which is fair enough because it always sells out anyway. But if you buy a ticket for the Tuesday, the Wednesday, or the Thursday, you get 20% off any other days. So I think that's pretty decent, right? They're all stamping like freezing the prices, dropping a 20% off as well. And while people will say they're making their money back at the bar, they can't run at a loss just for the sake of Joe Blogs at home that says it's too expensive. They do a group offer as well, which has been there too. But look, they're doing lots of things to make the Cheltenham Festival better. They do listen to us. Like I say, lots of people will say it's not all about Cheltenham. Of course, it isn't necessarily, but it's a big integral part of our sport. So look, I don't know what you're expecting from this video. I hope it's been of some value to you. You've seen I've gone on for quite a while here. I could waffle all day about it. So as I say, drop some questions in the comments below. Let me know some thoughts you've got coming up for the season, things you're excited about, things you not necessarily want to change, but things that you think people should know about for the season. You know, things they picked up that this X, Y, and Z has been the same every single year. It's going to continue to be the same. So just consider that from a punting or betting perspective. Like I say, make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video too if you can, and I will see you in the next one.